It's a record player. Yes, it is a Tonesta Conquest Fixed or Phuxxed, or I'd say Fixed or Phuxxed, should I say, Tonesta Conquest, which apparently is a Dansette, which were kind of the cheap ones that now everybody goes, oh my god, that's so collectible because I had one in the 60s. I didn't. I was clearly in the 60s because I don't remember it on account of not being born then. But yeah, these have become a bit of a retro cool thing, and this one, somebody... Well, I bought it from a guy who said he'd bought one because it was, oh my god, I remember those from when I was in my youth in the 60s. I really, and even, I think he even said it was the same colour, or same model. And he opened it up and a wire fell off. I don't know why he opened it up. I cannot remember if he said it was working fine and he was curious, or if he said, oh, there was something a bit wibbly, so I opened it up and a wire fell off. But either way, there is a wire falling off. The wire falling off may be the only thing wrong in here. It may not. I'm trying to remember how a record goes on. I'm just wiggling because it's got an auto thing. I know what demonstrators he demonstrated to me. It is plugged in. There is power. We knock that back. We go start. I'm not going to auto because I need to figure out how that works properly. But then we lift this, which doesn't seem to have a thingy lifty. You might be able to hear that, but it's only coming from the needle. It is not coming from the amplifier. Which makes me think that the wire might be a speaker wire, might be a circuit board wire, I don't know. Might be a wire from here to something. I have to open it up and find out. But now you've seen what it does, or doesn't do, and now I have to figure out how to lift that back up. Has it got to lift the thing? What happens if I hit auto? Does that do it? Oh, awesome. Right, yes, so there's the problem. We can hear a tinny scratchy Russ Abbott on a tinny scratchy Russ Abbott record at probably a tinny scratchy party. I need to open this. I should probably unplug before opening. I need to unplug this and open this. I need to unplug this. I should have thought ahead for that one. There we go. I need to unplug this. I now need to open this. Courtesy of these screws here. Because he didn't open it up, but I did have a quick look at where screws are. Oh, I need to pull those off, don't I? Yes, they're going to. Or do they have to come off? I don't know. It doesn't look like they have to come off to get this bit off. I'm intrigued. And this was supposed to be a present for somebody. Kind of a Christmas present for somebody. And then life got in the way. And so it didn't present. I'm doing this on camera for a change just because I don't know if you're curious to see what's in here, but I'm curious to see what's in here. So I've got a circuit board, got this, we haven't got a valve. I thought these were all valve, because when I originally saw the listing and saw no sound, I looked it up and people went, oh yes, it's the N87 or something, valve always dies on them. And I was going to look into that until he said, oh, it's just a wire. There is no valve. This is the matrix of valve-powered record players. Okay, more screws there. Definitely getting into here be Death Dragons, which is why I definitely had to unplug it. Good thing, because the previous owner already took it apart, which is why it Phuxxed. It's actually meaning it's quite easy for me. I'm not worrying about any screws stripping out, apart from that one rounding maybe. But yeah, it means I know it comes apart reasonably easily, because somebody took it apart and put it back together. That pleases me. And few things in life please me. I don't know if Russ Abbott's party would please me. I suspect not. But, you know, I'm judging prejudicially there. It could be that his parties are the best parties in the world. Right. Do I need to move the camera? There's not a lot you can really see. There's not a lot I can see. You can probably see what I can see. Do you see what I see? I don't see much. I see a wire. I don't see what's going on. Worried about putting my... Aha! Yes. Well, that clearly needs to go somewhere. Concern is there seems to be another white one in there, and then some other colours. So I'm not sure where it's going to go. Right, how does this come out? I think these come off. Always worried about doing that. These, when I say these, I mean I'm taking these off. I'll try to remember to show all of it when it goes back together. Oh, God, that's... Oh, look, it lifts part of itself behind. Worry about that later. And one more. which came off in one piece. Good. Right. We've got these little fasteners. I'm really wanting to be able to show you what I'm doing here, but I'm doing it by touch. I can't show me what I'm doing here. It's very fiddly. What I'm doing now is smashing the lid into my wrists so that I can't show you anything again, because I won't be able to press record on the camera. And a collective sigh of relief goes around the YouTube world. Right. Don't want to drop anything inside the player, because if it goes like that, I'm going to be quite upset. Okay. Does this... Oh. Let's put the party safely to one side, just in case it is a nice party. If it's a nasty party, then we can just let it get smashed and scratched. But it might be a nice party. This is the power cable. Goes... Where's the power cable go? Okay, so the power cable goes into here, and then somewhere else. Not sure where the somewhere else is. Not sure I'm going to worry about the somewhere else. What's making this too tight to move? What can I... How do I... Ah! Okay. Rotation. Three-dimensional thinking. And I'll get to that and the thing that just fell in a minute. Right. Let's have a look. So, power comes into this switch. It then goes off, presumably to the motor. Okay. So power then comes back into this. I don't know amplifiers. I don't know what I'm doing here, and I'm very scared of touching capacitors because I fried my finger on a TV one recently. It was not enjoyable. Here again be probably death dragons. I've got a white wire going here, and I've got a white wire going nowhere, and I've got a power supply kind of circuit. So with capacitors and a diode and more capacitors. So power goes into there and then comes back into here. And this isn't coming back completely because of this. Where has this fallen off from? Where did this sit for... Well, I mean, this was a few months ago it fell off, and this is a late 60s model, so... Where did this sit for about 40 years, perfectly happily, before one day going, oh my god, bright light, run and hide! Where has this mogwai cable come from? Where does it live? Where does it live? Where's it run away from? I'm going to force you to go home. I don't care. No. Complain all you like. I'm going to put that back there before I damage more things. Complain all you like, but you have a home to go to, and go to it you shall. Click your ruby slipper wire feet together. But there may be no place like home, because I don't know where your home is. I'm looking to see if there's anywhere, because this has solder on the end of it. I'm going to see if there's anything obviously lacking in solder, like something has fallen off. These connections don't look the highest quality to me. They look like I've soldered them, for God's sake. They could have fallen off from anywhere. I'm going to try to understand this. I may have to go away and research it, but I'm going to try to understand it. So, it's not valve, it's transistor. I think allegedly these are stereo, because although they only have one speaker, they have an output for another one. I've got two of these, which have 3 wires going into them like transistors do. Right. I think these are the transistors which do the amplification. So this powers these. This has power, and this bothers me because there's a circuit board, but the power's just soldered onto one of the legs of a capacitor. It's not soldered onto a point on the board, one of these holes or anything. That disturbs me. So the capacitors here has power coming to this side. It's AC, so power going to both sides, I suppose. But it has power there. It needs, well, the circuit needs power somewhere else as well. Sorry, this is very boring for most people because I'm just thinking out loud, and it's not something I do very quickly, coherently, or frankly successfully. I could take the board off that, but there's lots of wires would probably then just snap. Right, so the capacitor is soldered here, and this is a big thick track, so that distributes power all over the place. Where's the other end of the capacitor go? The other end of the capacitor goes here, which goes to this diode. But this diode Let's try to get this back in shot. This is a diode. Don't know if I can zoom in on it. I'm currently using the camera on a remote control, which is not very reliable. So, this is a diode. This is a capacitor. This is a transistor. This is me just basically naming things that I recognise on a circuit board. Don't expect it to make any sense. Has the other wire now fallen off? Oh, marvellous. Well, I know where one of them went, and it's AC, and they're both white, so I don't care. Right. One goes here. You need to correct it. Now, I think a capacitor will sort of correct AC, but a diode will only allow current to flow one way as well. I think my mystery white wire, and I'm basing this on the fact the diode goes nowhere else. That we have capacitor go to diode, but diode go to nothing. If I can get the light back on that. This isn't going anywhere. This, frankly, feels a bit like this whole video. It's going nowhere. So, I need to put the wire back on there that's also fallen off. I'm starting that none of this is quality soldering. And it's not going to be when I've done it either. I have a wire there, and I think there's one goes there. But I'm going to go and look this up. And I'm going to check forums and Google Images and other search engines are available. I'm going to try to make sure I know what I'm doing, or at least somebody else knows what I'm doing and tells me how not to do it wrong. And when I've done that, I'm going to come back and do the soldering. Hopefully. Thanks to ACHL, I think it is, on vintageradio.net, vintageradio.com. Look it up anyway, Vintage Radio Forums. I took some pictures of this and said, I'm new to all of this, I don't know what I'm doing, and people went, for God's sake, if you don't know what you're doing, stop before you kill yourself or somebody else. And I said, well, I can't stop. The party must go on, Russ told me. And they went, you're kind of crazy. We don't think you should be here. And I said, doesn't matter, I'm here now anyway. And I took some photos and said, I think there's a diode doing nothing. Is that where the wire goes? And I said, but just don't put wires wherever you think they should be if you don't know what's going on. And then someone looked at the photo and said, you're probably right. So, if this works, a big thank you to ACHL. And if this doesn't work, then this video may never be uploaded, although could be part of some sort of enquiry as to my demise. I've looked actually more closely at this diode, and I can see what appears to be kind of a silvery sheen that may have once been solder. So my guess is that that is where it came off. What I have to do is I have to get some solder on some wires. Never clean your soldering iron tip the way that you can't currently see me doing this. I have a cotton cloth, I have a soldering iron. I want to get one of those pots of brass kind of, what would you call it? Looks like sort of a brass scouring paddy type, Brillo paddy thing where you just go kashish, kashish. Oh, you didn't see that. Where you go kashish, kashish with the tip and everything is clean and better. Because my soldering station just had one of these useless things. I know you're supposed to moisten it, but it's just rubbish anyway. Hence the cloth. I get on with the cloth. There. So, I need to try to get this wire to melt back onto there. I never like having pointy draggy solder. That seems like it's on. And I was going to put this wire on the back, where I thought it came from. But, looking at the way that is, looking at the way I just took that wire there, let's get it a bit more out of the way. Looking at that, I think, seldomly, I think it did actually, the wire did actually go on here initially. So I'm just trying to get some solder on there and then find the loose wire. Do I need to get some extra solder on there? Maybe, maybe not. No, I think that'll be fine. Get some solder there. How do I do this to get the best? I want the biggest surface area contact so it doesn't fall off again. It does make me wonder about the soldering. Oh, wrong button. It does make me wonder about the soldering that the wires just so happily fall off. Or maybe it isn't the soldering. Maybe they've been working on a Great Escape for 40 years. Maybe these wires have been kind of digging particles of metal out during gym period in a little vaulting horse. And finally they went, we're free, we've tunnelled our way under the fence. And then somebody just went, good luck. And they went, oh, thanks, old chap. Bugger. That could be what happened. I don't think it is, but it could be. Right. I need to reassemble this. Reassembly, as certain useless how-tos will tell you, is the opposite of dismantling, or disassembly in fact. So I need to put this back together. That just involves putting things back together that you saw come apart. So I'm going to do that away from here and then come back for the grand testing, I suppose you'd call it. Well, at least it's what I'm calling it. I've put it mostly back together. I haven't put the top cover and that bit in just in case I need to get at anything again, if any more wires have fallen off. I've put the controls back on the front, which again I will have to try to show you when everything's done. Just give it a kind of spin around. But I have put Scratchy Russ and his dodgy party back in place. I've put it on the top just in case something happens just when I press start. I don't know how it all works. I'm intrigued to find out. And if I do start getting any success with this, I can then try listening to the most popular music in the world. Not sort of like moderately popular or maybe the best music in the world, but the most popular music in the world. That is an album. As actually I was watching Techmoan or Technology Connections actually taught me what an album is. It's basically a book of records, hence album. And there are many records in here, which I can't show you from this angle. And one of them's just made a bid for freedom. Seems to be the theme with this job. But yes, I will be trying that. First I need to try this. I'm going to turn the power thing on and I'm going to pray there is no magic smoke, because I imagine some of the things in here are very expensive, if not impossible, to replace. We have transformer hum, which apparently they all do that. Also, apparently it can be slightly resolved by replacing capacitors. That may be something. I may come back to this. I may, if this works and is just a bit buzzy, I may do a bit of an attempted reconditioning. I may look and go, okay, I can find replacements of these that are genuinely the rating of this capacitor or diode or whatever, resistors, and I may rework the board, you know, just replace the components. Right now it's just about getting it to do what it was doing before that wire apparently fell off. So, volume's a bit scratchy, not worrying. I have a hum. Didn't have a hum before. I have a spinning thing. What happens if I press auto? Oh no, don't do that. Do not do... Oh! Okay, it does that. Well, you can hear Scratchy Scratchy even before Russ starts with his delightful crooning. Which may never happen because this record's very, very dirty. Oh wow! I don't want to get a copyright strike on Russ Abbott of all things, but... Bloody hell! Okay, and so if I do auto again... Oh, that's impressive, that's clever. Not me fixing it. Me fixing it was just pure chance of going, there's a thing without a wire on it and there's a wire without a thing. Oh, that's very clever. Well, almost very clever. It missed. Maybe it needs adjusting. Let me have another look at that. Okay, let's go auto. This may require more fixing. I don't know. I might just need adjustment. It seems very confused by existence. And now it's starting. Alright, well now it's starting. Okay. Stopping, then starting, is what I should have said there. Let's go do something. I'm going to press auto. Oh, we're up. We're over. And, and we spit back. Oh, maybe I do need to look deeper into this. I don't know. I'm going to have a play with it and just see if it's got itself confused while I've been doing other things. And, well, when I've figured out which it is, I'll be back. I'm really glad the camera wasn't on for that. You would have learned some interesting new swear words over the course of 2 or 3 hours of me swearing at this. Partly through my own stupidity, I think, but also partly because, somebody's been here before, and I don't just mean the wire that was off, because that happened. I'm sure there should be a clip to hold this on. But I'm kind of glad it fell off because it showed me what was going on under here, which became useful, as did spray grease, which I need to clean off. But yeah, I think some of the problem was I was hitting auto, and maybe this was a bit sticky or something, because auto means it's going to look for the next record, isn't it? You can't really see what I'm doing there, and I can't really show you. Can I show you? Probably not. Let's see if I can show you a little bit better. There. So, this here, of course, sits on the record and presumably tells the mechanism there's a record waiting, ka-clunk. There's a record waiting, ka-clunk. There's a record rating, ka-clunk. Yes, it probably does that. And so, of course, with that not doing that and me hitting auto, I was probably confusing the mechanism a lot. But even when I wasn't doing that, it wasn't stopping. It was sticking and jamming itself on the stop. It was generally just being an arse, which is not exactly the word I used. The word I used is a word hitherto unheard of by human ears. But I think I've got it working now. I thought I'd show you kind of the workings of it before I go away, put it back together properly and come back again, just because it's quite interesting, actually. You've got this does the thing and this does the musicy thing, but then, do I have a means of plugging it in? Yeah, let's plug it in. And let's tell it to, well, let's just tell it to start. And because I have no turntable here, it's not pushing against, but this is not a drive band or a belt. This is how it works. In fact, I think on the different speeds, there we go. It actually plays fine through all of them. I think the turntable just helps push things against that. So that's the motor, and the motor just pushes against this little rubber wheel, which then pushes against something in there, probably near the grease. No, it'll be on the outer, no, it will be on the inner edge. I'm going to have to clean more grease off things. Spray grease, kind of sprays grease. Yeah, who'd have thunk it? But, yes, that turns the turntable, and then there's a little coggy geary thing there on the inside. And that turns this. And if I turn this in the correct direction, you can see it lifts the arm and then drops the arm because I didn't tell it to auto, and it stops. It was not doing that at first, but now it does the stop thing. What if I tell it auto? I think auto, that's going to confuse it because this is not sat where it would expect to be. So again, I'll tell it to start, and we'll just, in fact, let's tell it to start. We'll play our record, our record is playing, we get to the end of the record, and this, being turned by the turntable, comes around and does the offy thing. I just quite like that. There's no microchips involved, there's no interesting electronics of any sort. It's just gears and cogs and clunkies and springs, and I kind of think that's marvellous. And I really like the mechanical sounds it makes as well, the reassuring click, thunk, crunk. Maybe not so much crunk. Crunk is maybe not the good noise. But yeah, I really do like that. And before I sod off to put it together, in case you were curious, this is what the underneath looks like. And I have spent a long time looking at the underneath. The underneath looked like this with less spray grease when I started. And I'm not sure what to make of it all. Here is a thing. What does that thing do? I think, oh, that's the speed controller. You have the speed controller over here. I think that's the speed controller. And it just moves this plastic row of teeth that you probably can't see in this light. But it moves this plastic row of teeth, which moves this, which moves it moves the rubber thing, doesn't it? It moves the rubber wheel, not the motor, obviously. But it moves the wheel up between the different sizes for the different speeds. And the motor shaft just has different size diameter shaft coming up it. It's brilliant. This mechanism here is all to do with the automatic, and you've got a springy thing here which was causing me problems on this wheelie starry thing here, but that's what moves the tone arm back and forth. It's brilliant. It is stereo as well, because I'm looking at the number of wires coming out. It is a stereo output, even though it's only a mono speaker. Why would you make a stereo record player and then only put one speaker in it? I guess maybe at the time they go, hey, look, you can go and buy another speaker, kids. Just tell your parents, look, it's 50 shillings or whatever it would have been for this thing, but it's 3 groats more for another speaker, so you can have stereo. That's probably what was going on. You've got levery arms and things all over the place for all sorts of things, and it's just brilliant. It's bloody annoying to work on, and I did not take any of this off. Thankfully, it seems I didn't have to, just put lots of grease in there. Maybe too much grease. I don't care. If you think I've put too much grease in it, put it in the comments, give me a thumbs down. It's still YouTube interaction. The logarithm will still love me, even if you don't. But it's liberally greased now. I am a liberal. I have greased it. That pun did not work. Mainly because my mouth seized up. Unlike this, because of the liberal greasing. Yeah, so this spinny thing turns the tone arm. These things shuttle back and forth for lifty uppy downies. It's a clever and metal. No nasty plastic. No microchips. No plastic. All good metal. This is why it's lasted 40 years. This is why this has lasted, no, it'd be more, 40, 45, nearly 50 years. Is because how solidly well done it is. What I like a bit less is that the motor is built into the transformer, and also I'm not seeing an awful lot of earthing. I don't know how safe this is if something goes wrong. Oh, I see an earth cable coming to the power point here, to the on-off switch. I don't actually see anything going to the turntable. Mildly concerning, but health and safety was probably not considered back in the day that this was around. Maybe I should do something like that. Or maybe I should go, it works, sod it, don't fix what might not be broken. Anyhow, that's where it's at. And because reassembly is finally the opposite of disassembly, I am going to go away. And when you next see this, unless something's gone disastrously wrong, it will be back in one piece. As I listen to the music that will make me most popular with the hip and groovy beat kids of my generation, I have just one thing to say. Is it fixed or is it fuxed? Well, Daddy-o, I think it is fuxing well fixed.